This is Don. He's the mayor of more than just this very nice tower. Don is the mayor of Edmonton, the namesake for the Edmonton Declaration, a call to action for cities to make an ambitious pledge in their climate action plans. To do that, you have to figure out what sustainability looks like on the scale of a city. To do that, you have to figure out what it looks like on the scale of a neighborhood. We sat down with Don in a decommissioned aircraft tower overlooking the future home of one such neighborhood to talk about the technology, the design, and the political willpower needed to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees, here on Renewable.
I think it's going to be a place of wonderful connection to your neighbors, particularly like-minded people who really care about their environmental impact and who want to be close to the action of downtown with their family, but not quite right inside downtown. And in that way, I sort of think like this is our, carbon neutral Brooklyn, really. I'm Don Iveson. I'm the mayor of this great city, and it's a very, very special place that people have been coming to actually for thousands of years. And in that spirit of welcoming and that spirit of gathering, it's become a place of real innovation and leadership as well. So Blatchford, just behind us here, which is our old municipal airport, represents an opportunity that City Council saw to demonstrate what a low-carbon, net zero neighborhood could look like.
Demonstrate what low-carbon, net zero neighborhoods could look like. So what would that look like? Designing a sustainable neighborhood like Blatchford means rethinking how the neighborhood handles everything. From public spaces to how people get around. From wider sidewalks to urban foliage to how buildings are built, it all plays a part. But if you're looking to get that big number down, to lower the carbon footprint, you need to look at the neighborhood's energy system. And if you want to design a sustainable energy system, first you need to learn how to share.
There are lots of district energy systems. The University of Alberta has one. Lots of big campuses have them. Lots of places in Scandinavia, their entire city is a shared heat system. This is a little bit more sophisticated in that it's also harvesting waste heat and sharing it across the different kinds of buildings you find in a neighborhood.
To heat and cool a sustainable neighborhood, there are three key things that you need to do. The first, lower your overall energy needs. In Blatchford, every building in the neighborhood will have high energy performance. This means that the amount of energy needed to heat the building is minimized right from the onset of development. In a place like Edmonton, energy conservation measures like improved insulation or better windows can all make a big difference. Which brings us to the second thing, and this is where the cutting-edge technologies come in. Blatchford wants to share energy between buildings, residents, and businesses, especially during the spring and fall seasons. That leads us to the district energy sharing system that Don mentioned. This is a network of pipes filled with water that acts sort of like an energy reservoir. Homes and buildings in Blatchford will use heat pump technology as part of the network. This will provide energy to heat or cool down buildings, while at the same time shedding cool and hot water back into the pipes to then be utilized by other buildings based on their needs. But sharing energy between buildings and energy conservation isn't always enough. There might still be a need for some external energy to be put into the system, especially when it's very hot or very cold, which is where that third and final thing comes in. Any energy that you add into the system will come from renewable sources like geo-exchange fields or a sewer heat recovery system. So, by using less energy in the first place, sharing energy between buildings, and putting 100% renewable energy into the system, the whole community is on its way to becoming carbon neutral.
And because we have a fairly wide temperature range over the 4 seasons of the year, that's created a lot of knowledge and expertise historically here in our construction community and unleashed some really neat innovation in the private sector, which we look forward to being able to host and highlight here at Blatchford. A lot of our entrepreneurs who are excited about clean tech and excited about building efficiency and excited about changes to the transportation network in the future, those people are going to do very well. And so there's economic opportunity here too. And for some people who are on the fence about one thing or another, it's still a giant economic megatrend that places like China have got a 5 or 10 year head start on us with.
Which is where the Edmonton Declaration begs a question. Why cities?
Well, cities are big enough to have an impact, but small enough not to get caught up in regional drama or partisan polarization. For a variety of reasons that have to do both with scale and with how we organize as governments, I just think we can get more done.
The Edmonton Declaration is a call for cities to take leadership on climate action to limit global warming to 1.5 degrees. It recognizes that some of the most significant impacts of rising greenhouse gas emissions will be felt by cities. And it calls on the scientific community to provide data and tools for science-based decision-making. 4,500 municipalities have supported the declaration through their municipal membership networks. We wrapped up with Don by asking whether it's creating new neighborhoods like Blatchford that embrace energy innovation, or working with the scientific community to gather data, or collaborating with our neighbors. Why are cities becoming the epicenter of climate action?
I was at the UN Climate Change Conference in 2007, and the local government event I was at was a side event of a side event. We were in a completely different compound than all the bigwigs and the UN people doing their work. And then I was in Marrakesh a couple of years ago, and local governments were front and center because the international community had recognized that you cannot implement what's going to be required without working with cities, because the transportation systems, the industrial emissions in a lot of cases, and building technology and building energy consumption, and all of those things that are in the hands of municipal governments' influence, without working with local governments, we're simply not going to be able to meet the goals that have been outlined in Paris. Whether a given country is signed up or not, it matters most whether local governments get the tools to make the difference. More than half the emissions in the world and more than half the people in the world live in urban areas, and without working with local governments, we're just not going to get it done.